Good morning at Properties. It's Tuesday, July 7th. I hope you all had a great 4th of July weekend. I'm Amy Corr, and I'm live from Michigan this morning. I have Kevin Van Eck with me, who is joining us from our Goose Island office. So grab your cup and join us for another episode of Coffee with Amy and Kevin.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. Make sure your coffee is full, because today we have a great guest. We have a power agent, broker owner joining us from outside the market. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But make sure you register for our session tomorrow for the 60 Days of Summer Ninja Accelerator. We're going to be talking about managing seller expectations. And what you're going to get out of that are a few things. One is how to address the Zestimate, because that question consistently comes up. Number two, how can you present data in a way that's easy to understand? And number three, learning the one thing that will increase the likelihood that a seller will accept a great offer that comes in down the road. So make sure you register in the Agent app. The link is down below.
Yeah, that's some great stuff, Kevin. So I am excited to welcome Bonneau Ansley this morning. Bonneau is Georgia's top producer for over a decade. He runs the #1 team in Georgia, consistently selling over $175 million in real estate. He's also the founder of our partner firm, Ansley Atlanta, which consists of 250 agents and is growing like crazy. So welcome, Bonneau. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys. I'm really happy to be here.
So we're excited to kind of dig in and find out a little bit more about you and the partner firm that we've been, affiliating with for over a year. But Bonneau, you've obviously come a long way in your own career. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you got your start in real estate?
Sure. My family's been in real estate for many generations. I majored in real estate at University of Georgia. Go Dogs. And it's kind of always in my blood. Now, I've done everything in real estate, from being an investor to being a home builder to being a developer to selling. And I ended up, or I've had the most success in selling. I've just been, I've got a love for people, and I've got a love for connecting. It's been a great fit for me.
That's awesome. So you were highly successful at a previous brokerage before you started Ansley, right? So what prompted that move? Because that's a big move to split off from an existing company and start your own.
Yeah, Kevin, thanks. I started as an agent in 2009. It was actually a great year to start in real estate. I know many of y'all remember 2009. And I was able to double my business, my personal business, every single year. And when I got to a point, maybe in my 5th or 6th, I hit the same amount of volume. I said, I'm not growing. And if you're not growing, you're not moving ahead. And so I had this crazy idea, well, I'm going to start a company. I'm going to grow the company if I'm going to stay in the same production level. And so I just took my team. I think we had about 7 or 8 people on my team at that time. I bought a building, and I got really, really uncomfortable, which I think that everybody should do, daily. And started my own business. And it was a huge leap of faith, continuing my production, starting your own business. But I wanted to keep growing, because if you're not innovating, if you're not trying new things, if you're not really pushing yourself to reach new levels, then what's the point, right? I mean, I was making a lot of money. I was, very content, but being content is not good for my soul. And, that's why I prompted to start my own business.
Yeah, that is really exciting. And I, in getting to know you better, see just a lot of synergy with you and Mike and Thad, and kind of how you guys operate as, kind of taking risks and being willing to do different things. And, I know a lot of agents come to work at Ansley for a lot of reasons, but one reason is really the opportunity to be able to work and learn from you. What are the key traits you think agents need to focus on to have success in real estate?
Well, in Atlanta, we've got probably 17,000 real estate agents. Chicago, I don't know what the number is, guys, but I'm sure it's double that, right? So how do you stand out? right? Everybody knows a real estate agent. Everybody's got a best friend that sells property or a family member, right? So how do you continually get hired? And what I say is, if you're going to be in this business, you need to be obsessed. You need to really say that I'm going to be in this business and this is all I'm going to do. I'm going to wear real estate, on my hat. I'm going to, everything I do, I'm going to talk about real estate. I'm going to understand the market better than anybody else. I'm going to market bigger than anybody else. Now, your competition will talk about you. They'll say, golly, that guy's sending another postcard. Why is it so big? Why is it bigger than everybody else's? Why does he continually do it? Why is he always on social media posting about all of his houses? Because I'm obsessed and I want your business. That's why. And you have to really have that mindset going into it if you're going to be a good agent, or if you're going to break out from being average, or break out from the median of what other people do. You've just got to really, really go for it and quiet all the other voices around, because there's going to be a lot of them.
Right. I think with that, you have, in working with you and spending time with you, one of the things I've seen that you really have exemplified are relationships. Like walking into a lunch, walking into a restaurant, walking anywhere with you, I don't want to use the cliche working the room, but effectively, everybody in that room, everybody knows you. So relationships are key, but why do you think your clients hire you outside of the relationship you have? Like, what is your value? If a client were to say to you, why should I hire you? What is your answer to that?
Let's go back to the relationship side of it first. If you're in the business of relationships, and you're in the business of somebody trusting you to go and help their family find a house or sell a house, you have to be more than a real estate agent, right? You have to be a connector. In the back of my car, I carry hats, I carry shirts, I carry dog leashes, I carry baby Ansley singlets. I carry our Ansley collection books and our Ansley papers. I carry just a assortment of stuff. When I go to the barber shop, I leave whatever type of information I can about Ansley, right? And I might give it to the 5 people sitting in the chair getting their haircut, right? When I go to the valet stand and park my car, I might give them a $100 bill and 5 Ansley collection books with all of our real estate in it, with my business card stapled to the top, and say, man, the next 5 Mercedes or Porsches that come in here, leave one on the front seat. So from a relationship standpoint, when I'm driving down the road and I've got a past client that I sold the house 3 years ago, I'll call them or I text them and say, man, your yard looks amazing. By the way, I dropped you a new leash in your mailbox. Enjoy. I'm consistently doing stuff with past clients, right? I'm consistently out there. Just when I'm at a restaurant, I typically buy 1 or 2 meals for people, right? That's the easiest marketing you can do. So that's on the relationship side, Kevin. And then what was the follow-up question that you asked?
It was really, people like you. People like, talking with you, being around you. But when it comes to hiring you as an agent, what do you think is the reason they hire you beyond the relationship side?
Yeah, look, first of all, Ansley has, I think, the best platform for agents to operate in. And we'll talk about the Ansley relationship later, but focused on the company, right? And you got to talk about why your company is the company that the sign's going to be in the front yard. And from a technology standpoint that we have with platform that all ad agents use as well, the AdWorks connection, the incredible marketing and brand and social media outreach that the company does. You talk through that. And what I typically like to do, if I can, and can't do this with every listing, but for the higher end ones, I'll invite them to the office. I'll say, look, I'd love to show you underneath the hood and show you kind of how our office operates. They can come in and see, our social media, our marketing, see the different brochures that we can give them, see the postcard I'm going to show. Go through the whole gamut, right? And you got them. Then you totally got them. And then I go in and I say, look, your house is $2 million. And I talk about the value add of where their house is in the neighborhood, and that I know this person on the street or this person behind it, or I've got other listings in that same price range that I'll be able to drive other traffic to there. And they'll say, well, we're interviewing other people. And then you got to kind of dive in. And I use this analogy a lot. I say, look, if you were sick and you were with a doctor and you wanted to get better, that doctor is going to give you a prescription, and you're going to probably go to the most trusted doctor you can to fix you, what your ailment is. Well, I'm going to give you the best prescription to sell your house. Why? Because I've done it before. I've done it in your price range. I've done it in your neighborhood. And I've done it with this kind of house, being a modern or traditional, front loader garage, back garage, whatever the case may be. And I'll also say that I've done it more times than anybody else, right? So you got to use what you got first, company first, and we can all sell our different companies. Add and Ansley, the two top, companies in the industry, and then personally figure out and connect with why they wouldn't use you, right? And I never really ask for the business. That's the other thing. I go in and say, well, this is where my sign's going to go. I'm going to have pictures come in on Thursday. And I never really say, can I put a sign in the yard? Hey, are we good to go? Can I call my photographer? I always say, look, my photographer can come Thursday. We've got an open spot, and I make sure when I leave the house that I've got a Thursday photographer, right? And I'll call one, it doesn't work, I'll call the other, right? But go in knowing your game plan. Go in knowing what you've got to do to get the business. I'll tell you, my first year in the business, I was in a listing appointment. This was so lucky for me to have this experience. And I go in and I sit down with a client, and he's interviewing a bunch of people, and he says, what's my house worth? And I say, well, sir, your house is worth $600,000. And he goes, oh, okay. How do you know that? I go, oh, I just know it. I know I've sold that house and that house. Your house is worth $600,000. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Can I put my sign? And then I said, my sign will be up tomorrow morning. He called me that afternoon and said, hey man, look, I like you, you're cool. And it was a great conversation, but I asked you what my house is worth. You didn't have any facts to back up what the house is worth. And I'm an analytical brain. And so we talked more, and I went and had a drink with him that night. And he said, look, there's 4 quadrants in everybody's brain. And the quadrant that I hit is one of, emotional intelligence, and one of connection, one of kind of, that good old boy network. And he said, but you totally missed me on my analytical side. And I assume that you're probably missing a lot of people when you do that. So now when I go into a listing appointment, I have a whole packet of analytics and comps and CMAs and all this stuff that our technology can do between our two companies. And then I hit them with the emotional side and the storytelling side and everything else. So I try to hit all 4 quadrants of the brain. When you do that, guys, you don't know exactly which thing that you're going to say is going to be the connector that's going to get them to sign on the bottom line. And that was a great thing to learn that first year.
That's a great learning lesson, because I do think that's so important. A lot of agents go in with one approach, but they, need to sometimes pivot because of the person that's sitting in front of them, and, what's going to make that connection, whether it's emotional, whether it's data. I think that that's critical, and that's really great points, and it kind of obviously a big learning lesson you had early on in your career that has allowed you to shift a little bit into really great success. So I want to talk a little bit about a special relationship, and that is between At Properties and Ansley. So, I don't know how many of our At brokers really know that much of the story, but wanted to get from you, what did you see as the value that was coming to the table with the two partnerships or the two companies coming together, At Properties and Ansley?
Yeah, great question. I've got a habit. I've had this habit ever since I started the business of just calling different agents to learn from them in different markets. So probably I'd take 2 or 3 trips a year out of Atlanta, Georgia. I'd go to LA, I'd go to New York, I'd go all over the place. And I'd, call, hey, can I buy you dinner? I'm going to be in town, on Tuesday. I'm going to be up there. Can we go to dinner? And I'd pick these people's brains. And I'd learned so many different traits to bring back to Atlanta and start in my real estate business to continue to be relevant and everything else. When I started my business, close to 5 years ago, we're in our 5th year now, started doing the same thing. Now I was starting to call owners. Golly, I just started this business. God, how did you deal with this, this, and this? And what'd you do when this happened? And I started following ad properties. I'm like, man, this company really has it all together on here. This is the coolest thing. They got marketing, they got culture, they've got growth. So I called Thad, and I didn't know him. And I said, hey, I've got a little shop in Atlanta, and, seen a lot of your stuff, been following you. I'm going to be up in Chicago, doing something. I made up something. I said, hey, can we go to dinner? And he said, sure. So we go to dinner, and we end up staying at dinner for 3 or 4 hours and just talking. And we had so many similarities, and we just developed a friendship. And then I had him down several months later to kind of speak to our top agents at a retreat. And we just continued talking. And then I was like, look, I'm thinking about, I gotta upgrade my technology. And, can we borrow your technology? Hey, we're such good friends. Let me just kind of borrow your technology. Let me get this in my company. And long story short, we figured out different things where, he liked a lot of stuff we were doing marketing wise, and I liked, the relocation side. So we kind of took the best parts of both companies and said, okay, how can we kind of partner with each other? I'm still going to lead Ansley. I'm still going to lead, our operations in Atlanta and surrounding areas. We're growing kind of all over the place now in the South, and have, everything great that we could use from Ansley to become a better company. It's been awesome. I mean, we're so much more of a dynamic company, but we've kept our culture. We've kept our leaders. We've kept everything about Ansley that we started. We've just added all these other great services, relocation, training, and everything in between. So I'm just super blessed that all that came together like it did. And Dad and I talk, quite a bit. And I ask him all kinds of stupid questions, and it's been really awesome.
That's really cool. And firsthand, being in Atlanta and working with you and the team there, it couldn't be like the cultures couldn't be more clearly matched, right? I mean, it's almost uncanny. It's like 2 different cities but the same company. So I know we're grateful too, because we're learning a lot from Ansley and working with all of you, working together. That things that we're doing now in Chicago and throughout ad properties that we've picked up from Atlanta. So that's great. But I think, one of the things we know about you is you've got a lot going on, right? We know for sure you've got a team. You're selling $175 million a year. You're running a brokerage, and I know you have a family. So how do you, if it's even possible, how are you balancing that?
That's a great question, Kevin. And also, I'm not good at a lot of things. So I got a lot of things on my plate, but I learned early on how to leverage myself. And what I mean by that is I'm only good at a couple things. And I take those things that I'm good at and I stick to those. And I backfill everything else I can't do, which is about 80% of the stuff, with really, really good people, and I give them control. Nobody can sell 120 houses a year if they're doing it on their own. You're going to be whooped. You're going to be a bad husband, a bad father. You're not going to be a great agent to your clients. So about my second or third year, I started to get help. And it started with a Hill Harper, who I hired to kind of be my right-hand man, and he's been with me for 10 years. And then from that, I was able to kind of build a listing coordinator, a closing coordinator, showing specialist, all these things, so I could never have to say no. When you say no, you stop. And you want to be able to continue to grow and grow and grow. So, I don't write contracts. I don't set up showings. I don't meet the photographer. I don't do a lot of things. And I'm dyslexic too. I can barely read. So going through contracts and going through all the motions as it relates to that, I've got somebody with an English degree, to backfill my weakness, right? So putting all those things together, you can have a superhuman team if you do it right. Then I'm able to be the client liaison and be able to talk to them and be the biggest cheerleader for the listing, and have a super team be able to operate within that to get the house sold and move on to the next one and everything else. Same thing with the company, right? I wanted to build a company where I wanted to work under. So we built that company. We built it for high producing agents. And it was and there was a lot of things at the other firm that I was with that, I wouldn't have done it that way, obviously. So I started a company where the environment was one of collaboration, of teaching, of learning, of being able to be around other agents and grow from them. And that's why we've been able to grow so much, because of that. But as it relates to me day to day getting into the weeds of the company, I'm not good at that. Everybody knows it. But the people we put into place, Julie Harris, to kind of start the brand, run the marketing, run the look and feel, right? She's amazing. I don't get in her business. Chris Burrell, training, communication, motivation, and a broker. Lane McCormack, operating, managing broker, or she's a broker as well, and everything in between with human resources and our graphic design folks. They're all incredible, but we let them do what they want to do, because if you give people responsibilities and not tasks, you won't believe what they can accomplish. And I always talk to our agents about, leveraging themselves so they can produce more. Everybody's got what they envision they want to be the next year, but you got to put the pieces together on the front of that year to get there. So when I was able to double my business every year, when I went from 16 million to 44 million, 44 million to 75 million, 75 to, 125, and there on, every single year I'd create goals and I would build the team in January to what it was supposed to be. So if I was a $75 million producer and wanted to go to 150, January 1, I'd have the team set up to be a $150 million producer. So it was top heavy, right? I might have another showing specialist, or I might have whatever the case may be to get there. And we would grow in, because if you're not thinking about the future on the front end, you're never going to get there, And by the way, it doesn't just happen, right? You've got to create the habits to do that, to get to where you want to go, right? Are your habits on par with your dreams and what you want to do for tomorrow, right? Very, very important to get there. And then, as I said earlier on, you got to be totally obsessed to do it, But by the way, it all hadn't been easy, right? You got to find your strength in the curves, when things go wrong. Heck, I started as a real estate agent because I had a failed development in 2008. Right? So it's not like there's not obstacles to kind of climb through when you're going through stuff. You got to find strength in those obstacles and those curves. You got to figure out what you learned there and not let anything slow you down.
So I love all of this, because I feel like so many of our brokers, wait too long and they're too far down kind of growing their business, and then they're trying to play catch up. And so I think a couple of great takeaways from that is to, get ahead of the help that you need, but also recognizing that you are not going to be able to do everything in your business if you really want to grow a large one, and identifying right away what you are good at and start bringing in the support for the people who need to do the other things that maybe you aren't so great at. So I do know one thing that a lot of agents try to do in our market, and I think it's true in Atlanta as well, is we have a very nice luxury market here. And wanted to get your idea or your feedback on, what steps should an agent take if they're really trying to get into the luxury market?
Yeah, you got to live it. If you're not living in the luxury market, you got to fake it. Go ahead and pay. Dress the part, right? Go to the cigar bars. You might see Thad over there. Or we've got an agent in Atlanta, Troy Stowe, right? He just hangs around places where people, with a lot of money might be. He's going to sit at the bar and just start chatting, you know, or go to the cigar bar and light up. It just doesn't happen, right? You know, if you're going to, you know, in the luxury market, people want to, be around somebody that can talk the talk and walk the walk, right? So, you know, if you're going to roll up in a Yugo to your listing appointment, and you're trying to get them to sign, you know, on the dotted line, probably not the best idea. Maybe go rent a car. I'm just saying, right? Fake it. And I've been faking it my whole life. Heck, in school, I mean, forget it. You know, I faked it all the way out to get a diploma. You know, that's high school and college. I should have never have gotten one, right? But I always was in the right area, smoozing the teachers, you know, doing the right things to get to, just so people thought that I was, you know, could pass the test, right? Got it done.
It's true. You kind of have to make the connection with these individuals that you're going to be working with. They want to feel like you know what their life is all about. So really, you know, actually honest and true points about breaking into luxury. So final question, if you had to share one action or one thing that you think all agents should be doing, no excuses, no exceptions, what would it be right now?
I could say a lot of them, but why don't we just say goal setting? It's the easiest thing to do, and it makes you accountable to what you're doing. Before I go to bed, I try to mark down what my day is going to look like the next day, and you know, and have goals for the day, have goals for the month, have goals for the year, and you got to track those things. You got to be accountable to yourself. And, you know, Jesse Itzler came and talked to you guys. Jesse's a good friend of mine. What did he say? He said, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So if you're in that mindset from day one and you're creating those goals and you're not negotiating with yourself, you're going to be very surprised at what you can accomplish.
That's great. I'm glad you brought up goal setting, because you've touched on many of those other things throughout this conversation, right? You've talked about taking the actions and doing the steps. And one of the other things we didn't talk about, but that I know that you do, and Thad does, and Mike does, is availability. You make yourself available to your clients, to your agents, to the people at Ansley at all times. So there are all these different little things. I love that you said goal setting, because I think if you don't have a goal, you don't know where you're trying to go, right? So, but no, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We could talk for another hour and a half, I know.
Let's do it.
For sure.
Kevin, we've talked about me coming up and talking to y'all's agents. I really want to do that. I've met so many great agents in Chicago, connected with a lot of them, talked to a lot of them. And look forward to coming up there and talking to you guys.
For sure.
We'd love it.
We can get a group of people together. Yep.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. So thanks, Beno. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Fill up your coffee one more time before the morning's over, and make sure you register for the Ninja Accelerator session tomorrow on managing seller expectations. And I hope everyone has a great day. Thanks again, Beno.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Beno. Have a great day.